Well, boogers in there. Hey everybody, this is Brett. Isn't that how I usually start my videos and my lives? So welcome. Welcome to Sunday Night Live. And welcome to a new world. Isn't it interesting? It's not quite as scary, is it? So, I haven't written down a whole lot of things for tonight. Hey Diana. Hi Linda. That's it. That's all I wrote down. So I'll either have to improvise or I will have to just keep talking about the same subject for a long time. So, yeah, maybe y'all could help me out with some subjects. Diana, do you have any subjects that you'd like me to talk about? How about you, Linda Johnson? So, yes, I think that we need to have compassion for people at this time, but demand change. And they're very kind of opposites, you know. One left and one right, one aggressive, one submissive. But these things are both required. And some people need more of one and other people need more of the other. It's just how it is. And it's kind of like the viewers. When I first start one of these, you'll get a bunch of viewers, and then all of a sudden, a bunch of them leave. So, let's see. I'll come back to that one. So remember how I turned you on to Dr. Shiva, and he has a lot of good ideas, but then I find out that he's supporting Donald Trump. Now how can that be? How can somebody that says that they're all about clean air, food, and water support Donald Trump? That doesn't make sense, does it? But you never know. Maybe Donald Trump will all of a sudden decide that he really wants to support clean air, clean food, and clean water and renewable energy. He wants back into the Paris Climate Agreement. You never know. He might just completely change his mind because that's the kind of guy he is. And that's generally how politicians are. But you're not going to find that with me. For those of you that are looking for any kind of an inconsistency with me, you can pretty much forget it. It's not going to happen. I'm not a politician, nor do I want to be one. But if I were a politician, I wouldn't be a very good one. Because politicians do well by getting a lot of votes. And that's why you're going to find that politicians are basically, popular ones, are very behind the masses. And that's why a whole lot of us that are individualist thinkers are not good with, like, behind politicians that much. We may like certain aspects of politicians. But for the most part, because a politician is representing the masses, those of us that are individuals with specialized thinking, we're not going to be behind them, nor the masses. And we have to do our own thing. Which one of these kids is doing his own thing? You know what I mean? And I like me for that reason, and a lot of other reasons. And that's why you guys like me, right? Brett, can you talk about the important foods, bits, etc., bits we all need during this time for healthy immune system? Well, really, like the biggest thing that's changed during this time is people's brains and their emotions. And so it's really important not to buy into all of the hoopla that you see on the news. And once you realize that it is largely just hoopla, and basically they're really trying to get ratings. And you'll notice this by people like creating crazy titles on YouTube videos. Well, they do the same thing on the news. They're trying to create excitement. People are addicted to adrenaline, and people like crazy shit. Remember that song by Don Henley? Uh, what was it called? The Trash song. What the hell was that Don Henley song? She can talk about the plane crash with a blue gleam in her eye. It's interesting when people die. Oh yeah, Dirty Laundry. Okay, so remember the Dirty Laundry song from Don Henley? If you haven't listened to that one, if you're a young person, then go back and listen to that song, because all of the things that the news wants to talk about. It's interesting when people die. Give us dirty laundry. Okay? So they're not going to get their ratings unless they put something on there of death and destruction and stuff. And anybody that has any kind of common sense knows that those things aren't good for us to think about. I mean, they may be good to slow healing down. For some reason, you need to suppress your healing, just like maybe you need to suppress your immune system. But if you've suppressed your immune system to the point of where something hits you, like the coronavirus, and you're not ready for it, then you're going to be in trouble. So it's not good to hold back on your healing. And it's not good to just keep watching the news when your little voice is telling you that you really don't need it anymore. So as soon as you don't need it, or as soon as you don't need whatever in your life that your little voice is telling you that that, or your mind has learned from the past that that that's not good for you. Violence, anything like that's aggressive and violence or extreme, is not ultimately good for you. And all of the extreme things that are clear out here, those fall away. They gradually fall away. Imagine two cliffs, okay? Here's your two cliffs. And the cliffs keep moving in. Creation and God keeps tightening the reins and moving things in and moving things in. And the extreme things keep falling off. They keep falling away into the ocean and going back to the sea. And only the people that are in the center and calm and mellow and doing mellow activities, gentle things, and listening to gentle music, etc., etc., only those people are left standing. And a lot of these extremists on the outside, they're fighting with the other extremists, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And maybe they kill themselves off, and that's one of the ways that they end up falling off the edge of the cliff. They kill themselves off. So that's why, when I made those T-shirts this morning, I'm like, well, I better not seriously. Like when I made the other T-shirts that say, I heart the coronavirus, that was just for fun, because I'm a playmeister, I'm a gagster. I like to have fun, and I like to joke, and there is a legitimacy to that I really do love the coronavirus to a degree, but not to the point of where I'm willing to go stick it in people's faces in public. But the shirts that I put out this morning, if you haven't seen them on Teespring, they look like this. Here's one. It has a bunch of vegetables, and then it says "Get safe." That's not too radically aggressive. And then the back says "Get healthy, get safe, whole organic foods." And then the other shirt is pretty cool, I think. If it'll come up, there we go. So it just says respect, and it's got the earth there. And then the back says clean air, healthy food, and clean water. And I took $5 roughly off the price of them so that I'm not making as much, and then you'll buy the shirts for like $21. Plus the shipping is like $5 or something. So there you go. There you go. And you'll be seeing those. You'll be seeing those shirts across the bottom of my videos because Teespring and YouTube, many of you know this, are connected now. They cut a deal. You know what I mean? They cut a deal. I gotta pour the tea. One moment. So I'm making some detox tea. It's one of my favorite of the yogi teas. And I've got some good honey to put in there. I'll have to give it a few minutes to cool down, of course. Yummy, 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 Alright. And I might also take a few song requests tonight. Okay, so I need to talk about important foods bits we all need during this time, okay? Right on. I drink more organic green drink every day, salads, etc. Yeah, so really, depending on where you are in your diet, like in the beginning, a lot of people, depending on how old and how strong they are, they can really go for it. They can really get crazy and like make some radical changes in the beginning. Because when your body is really not, when you're not consuming a very healthy diet, you can make some big improvements in the beginning. And you can do that because like when you're young especially, if you make up your mind and you educate yourself, and you've seen this with a lot of different YouTubers, you will find that they really did some crazy stuff to like get rid of processed foods or get rid of dairy, stuff like that. Mostly get rid of processed foods. But like for me, when I did that, I really got skinny. I got really skinny because my body was just like moving out a lot of toxicity. And when you're breaking down a building so that you can rebuild another one on the old foundation, then that's what needs to be done. That's what really needs to be done. And you need to expect that people are going to look at you and be like, oh my God, what is he doing? And I was telling people, look, I'm eating healthy foods now. And the thing that was a tripping, like, how can you be eating healthy foods when you look like you're gonna die? And there are some people out there like me that they have so much crap in their bodies that it's taken me a long time just to get to where I am now. But look, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. And this body, you have to kind of, in this life, you have to kind of understand that everyone has kind of a different thing, and you may be one of those people like me who came to this world for mostly a healing life. It's a healing life. And you may get in your next life, if you do really good in this one, you may get a life where you're born into a world where you're just really gorgeous. And your parents were just fantastically beautiful and rich, financially wealthy, and they're everything. You get the whole 9 yards. Or you may get to be somebody that's like way worse off than I was born, born into the ghetto and or born with parents that had like nothing and living in a little shack and controlled by the mafia. God knows, all different things. Born in Syria and forced to leave your house and try to get away from the Syrian government, etc. I mean, imagine the horrible lives. And a lot of people believe that you get what you've achieved from the past. You evolve into whatever your next life is. It's what your last lives had accumulated up to that point. It's like moving up in a business. And so, who knows? Maybe those people that were born into a horrible situation actually deserved what they got. Who knows? I mean, if you think about things logically like I do, but also spiritually, and you like to put two and two together, and you like to philosophize on things, then perhaps that's the way it is. That's the way the Chinese believe. They believe that some people may digress back into an animal, a primitive animal. It's interesting to think about. 96 pounds. Well, that's not too bad, Diana. I think that's better than what you were, huh? Talk about the Fibonacci thread that ties all reality together. The Fibonacci thread. I really don't know anything about that. Maybe you could send me an email. Send me a link. But let's see. So, I wish my tea were ready. Woo! Can you see the steam? See the steam coming out of it? Okay, so right now, I just got through a bunch of cleansing. I had to do like enemas every other day for the last week. And then last night, my gut was just like, it was so nauseous and I had to throw up. And sometimes that's just like I go through these cycles. Usually, not often do I get the gut nausea problem. But sometimes in the springtime, I can get really moving out a lot of toxicity. But it's all good. And this morning I could really tell that my immune system was really kicking it. And I felt blessed. It's only been 6 years that I've been living out of the city. And when you get rid of all of those things that are making you hold in all the toxicity, and that also includes thought like your attitudes toward things. You can have aggressive or like extreme attitudes towards things that are also causing your body to hold in toxicity. And a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there are like logical people out there that'll be like, well, can you show me some kind of a proof? Show me some kind of a scientific study that shows that to be true. I can't really do that. All I can tell you is that I just know it from my own experience that I'm becoming more kind of easygoing over time and more accepting, but also more solid about my belief systems. And, for instance, like if I were to see somebody doing something that I didn't think was right, I wouldn't be as aggressive. If I were to decide to say something to them, like for instance, I don't think you should do that. Before I would have said, I don't think you should do that. But I want to get to the point of where I'm like, I don't think you should do that. And also, a lot of the time, I just don't say anything at all, whereas I used to would say something to people about the things that I don't think they should be doing. And really, it's a judgment call. You have to decide whether or not you think it would be worthwhile for them to hear, for people to hear the things that you have to say, the things that you have going on in your mind. And you're not going to share everything that you have going on in your mind, and you're not going to comment on everything that you think you might like to comment. Now, we all know this, but it's good to be reminded, right? Hugs to Chakra. Chakra, hugs! So, no, I've gained since then. Now I need to lose weight. Okay. All right. So, I've been slowing way down, and it's really weird to me. And yes, I still have to remind myself to not, get going too fast. Right now, I've been doing really good with orders, and I have a bunch of orders that I need to work on this week. And I have to really remind myself not to get anxious, and go too fast, because I know that that's not good for my health to haul ass. It doesn't work. You can think about these things logically and tell yourself that at one moment, but then in the next moment find yourself going too fast. And it's really a combination of all the different things. No, you have to understand that it's all connected, and all of that is connected to spirituality, because your little voice, that part of you that's in between creation, at least one of the parts of you that's in between creation and your physical being, it knows that it's not logical to go crazy and swear about stuff if something doesn't go your way. But that happens to me, and I still do it anyway. But the more that I can listen to my little voice and go like, okay, don't do that, stay cool, and don't worry about that. It's all going to pan itself out. Everything's going to work itself out. You know that it is. And with the coronavirus, y'all know that there are a whole lot of things that really need to change. And thank God that if people go back to the old ways, a lot of them won't work out, and people are really being forced to change. And each time the coronavirus comes back with aggressively and kills another 50,000 people, whatever, then people are going to be reminded, hey, we need to slow down. We need to change. We need to do things differently. We need to think about the earth. Because whenever you start to change your diet, and that's largely what people are thinking about, and this based on the commercials that are being run on YouTube, all the diet commercials, all the different health commercials, they're paying more per click. They're paying more per click than the goodie commercials or whatever, the toy commercials, whatever else. Whoever pays the most per click gets the spots. And the diet commercials are winning the spots. And the reason they're doing that is because they're bidding higher, because they think that a whole lot of people are thinking about changing their diets. And they are. Why are they doing that? Because they're forced to, because if they don't change their diets, they might die if they catch the coronavirus. But when they change their diets, it's a magical thing, because that kale gets your mind thinking differently. I can't prove it, but I can tell you that what you are is what you eat. And when you start eating radishes, and when you start eating kale, and when you start eating fruits, and when you start eating all these colorful foods, instead of all that white, no color, bland foods and demineralized foods, you start to have emotions come up in you of like, maybe I care about things that matter. Maybe I need to care about things that matter. Maybe I do care about things that matter. Because you are like, your thoughts are what you eat too, and your emotions are what you eat. And so you can expect all these people that are changing their diets to start eating healthier foods and less toxic foods like GMO and foods with chemicals sprayed on them. You can expect those people to start caring more about the things that matter. How about that? And we're talking about rich people. Really, really, really rich people that own 40%, like a tiny number of people out there at the top think that those thousands, couple thousand people, 5,000 people, 10,000 people, they're changing their diets too. And they have like 40% of the wealth. It's said that they have like 40% of the wealth of the country. And so what if they start to actually put their money into things that help all of humanity instead of, and the government, think about if the government starts to, instead of doing like what Donald Trump does, and imagine like this, like I like a lot of what Dr. Shiva says, but he supports Donald Trump once again, and Donald Trump is wanting to spend a lot more of the money on the military, the defense. Isn't it interesting how they call things like things that like don't really hit the nail on the head, like he's deceased, or like he passed away. I like that one. They passed away. Like they passed away, or did they just die? But Donald Trump wants to spend more money on defense and less on things like that really matter, like not polluting. He wants to take away the restrictions on polluting small rivers. He wants to allow the coal companies to pollute more. But Dr. Shiva is all about that. But Dr. Shiva is coming down on all of these other people for not doing, what they say they're going to do. But he's kind of a hypocrite in regards to supporting someone that also is not behind the things that he says that he's behind, which are clean air, clean food, and clean water. That doesn't make sense, does it? So is he just pandering to the Trump supporters? Yup, that's what he's doing. So I'm really not so much of as I told you, as a Dr. Shiva fan as I thought I was. And I just had to listen to him some more and understand that he was pandering to Trump supporters, and that's not what I would ever do. So he might say something like, well, I'm just doing that so that I can get elected to the Senate in Massachusetts. And that's cool. That's cool. Maybe he can create some great change there in doing some of the other things that he's talking about doing. So some of my videos have caused me recently to lose more than 100 subscribers. And I was looking at my statistics the other day, my analyzation of my videos, and I noticed that on certain days I would lose a lot more subscribers. So I've been predominantly losing more subscribers than I've been gaining for a couple of months now. But I'm not worried about that because I have a lot to lose. I've got over 130,000 subscribers. And what I think is really good about it is that I'm losing the people that don't get it. I'm losing the people that aren't ready for what I have to say now, because it's more of a hairy situation that we're in. And I'm not going to back down on anything that I'm thinking. I may not reveal everything that I am thinking. In fact, I've never revealed everything that I'm thinking. If I did, I wouldn't have a YouTube channel anymore. But I'm going to take it to the edge as far as I think I can take it. And for doing that, I lose subscribers because they don't want to hear. They think that it's wrong that I say that the medical people deserve what they're getting. And I should clarify that. Because, you see, my mom was a nurse, I've told you, for 30 years. And I know people, quite a few people, that have really connected with me, that I love and like a lot, that were nurses, a lot of women. And they work really hard, and they take directions well, and they don't cause a stink, because they know that if they do cause a stink, they'll be fired. So they're not really to blame. They're just the little people in the medical industry that are doing what they're told. That's what my mom did for 30 years. She basically did what she was told. Now, they may speak up, and it's good for them to speak up. I know she's told me stories about how she saw something inappropriate or stupid, etc., being done, and then she spoke up about it, and changes were made, hopefully. But for the most part, the people in the medical industry that are to blame are doctors, because doctors do make decisions. Doctors do cut prescriptions. Doctors do give advice. And when they're constantly just pandering to people, and that's what people really want, people want to hear quick fixes. They want a quick fix. And so it's a partnership between the people out there that really don't want to take care of their own health, because the people that want to take care of themselves, they don't go to medical doctors. Those of you that have your doctor, you should know this. It shouldn't be an MD if you're thinking in terms of natural healing. It should be an ND, naturopathic doctor. I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make a recommendation. I recommend that everyone that is thinking about natural healing get rid, if they have an MD, a medical doctor, and get an ND, naturopathic doctor. And there's also like two kinds of NDs. There's a traditional naturopath that doesn't necessarily, depending on the state, have to be licensed, and or they don't have to have had the same like long and drawn out education that cost $120,000, $200,000, whatever, like an ND. And start going to people. If you really want to pay for insurance, and you really want to go to these so-called professionals, and you've got the money for testing, etc., and you really want to do the job right, then go to a naturopathic doctor and hear what they have to say. Now, I'm not saying that all these different tests, things, are all that valuable, because I've done some tests in the past, and I found them interesting, but I didn't find them all that valuable after several years after doing this whole healing thing. As long as I've done it, I can tell you that the hair mineral test that I had this company in Arizona do a long time ago, it doesn't surprise me that I was deficient in some things, and I had a lot of mercury, not a lot of, what did I have a lot of? I can't even remember what I had. They test for 4 different toxins, metal toxins, and also the stuff that's in rice. There's a lot of it in rice. Starts with an A. Somebody write that down. So there's 4 different toxins they test for your hair. And then additionally, I once paid $400 to have a blood test. And if you've got money and you can afford to do those things, and you can afford to go to a naturopathic doctor, then you can learn some things. You can have get a parasite test. You know, you can give them. You can even do that through the mail. You can send a poop sample in. You can probably send a pee sample in too, and have your poop analyzed for candida and probably a bunch of other bacteria and parasites. And those are all interesting things. But when the rubber hits the road and you go to make your food, then you're going to be able to change your diet very incrementally. Like I said, though, it depends on how young you are and strong you are, and how much extra time you have to do enemas, because those things take time to do. It takes time to do healing. It takes extra time to sleep more. And so that's why I've told you so many times that it's really important to regulate not only like all of these different things, but like your expenses, because the more expenses you have, the more you have to work. And if you come to this point of where you realize that you really need to work on your health a lot more, then you don't want a whole lot of expenses. And a lot of people are stuck. They're stuck because they have to keep working at a certain type of a job that makes a certain amount of money for a certain amount of time every week to be able to pay for all these different big expenses. Woo! That wind is blowing hard out there right now. Blooper, quart should be quartz. I don't know what that means, Joe. Sorry, Brett. Sorry, damn spell check. Hey, Britt and Chakra. Cheers. Cheers. Here's to a detox tea. So really, a lot of people, and I've heard this on commercials, on the internet, how doctors will come on and they'll talk about some kind of an illness, and then they'll say, it's really related to how healthy your digestive system is, your gut, your intestines, all of that. And from there to there is like 30 feet long. 30 feet long. This is going to give you an idea on how incrementally, how slow. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jason. But if you were to take your digestive system out, if you were to take it completely out and lay it out on the floor, this house, this cabin that I live in is 20 feet long. It would extend past that 10 feet. That's a long way. Can you see that? See back to that light back there? That's 20 feet. But your digestive system would go another 10 feet beyond that. That is a long hose. That is a very long hose. And when that hose gets polluted and full of matter, mucoid plaque, and when it gets full of bacteria and pesticides and parasites, when it gets all full of that, can you just clean that out and heal it in a month? Can you just clean all that out and heal it in a year? Can you just clean all that out and heal it in 5 or 10 years? The harder you work at it, yes. But bear in mind, you have all of these other things going on. And the more you cut out all of those other things, the more you can do all of these things that I teach you in my videos. And a whole lot of people that watch my videos, really, I've got my work cut out for me this week. But if I don't take care of me and I don't take care of that dog, how far am I going to go in the future? Sure, I could just bust my butt tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and not take care of myself very good at all. Not go for any walks. Tomorrow's supposed to be a decent day, and Wednesdays or Tuesdays supposed to be a decent day and sunny. If I don't go outside and get sunshine going into my eyes, sunshine on my skin for vitamin D, a lot of oxygenated air, a lot of really great air. And I was noticing the other day, because it's really green outside, that the air is very, very oxygenated right now. And it's just got a lot of something, I can't remember the name of it, but it's referring to the amount of oxygen and energy in the air. And it's really excellent right now, I was noticing. And after I got out on that road, I was like, man, I am so glad I came out walking. Oh, and I went for a night walk the other night. And it was great. I just took my headlight and made sure it was charged all the way. And it was only about like 9 o'clock. But I went out walking, and I hope I didn't like freak anybody out. But even though I'd been working all day and I hadn't taken the time to get out during the middle of the day, which is the best time to go walking, I still decided, I really need to get out and get some oxygen. In fact, I could use more in here right now, and so I'm going to go open the window some more. But if you're, and that's another cool thing about this coronavirus. It's teaching people that they're really enjoying some of this time off. And I know not all of you are getting it, because I'm one of those people that's not getting a lot of time off. But just thinking about it and just experiencing, you don't have to go to work today for a lot of you restaurant workers, or maybe you're in the travel industry, something like that. And I know my friend Cheryl, if Cheryl's out there, is probably not working near as much at Chicago O'Hare. And that's really great. I'm so glad that she gets to take some time off. So, yeah, a lot of those things that people are having to pay too much money for, people are really rethinking. Like, a lot of people are forced to go back to living with their parents, unfortunately. And that's cool for now, maybe, but probably won't last, in my opinion, before people are like at each other's throats. But people need to go back to their old lives, but not live in the same ways. And there are so many different things that people can do to cut down on their footprint, their heavy, heavy footprint on this poor planet. And be sure and subscribe, and also click the bell notification for my channel, because when you do, then you'll get to see all the little posts that I post on the YouTube post board, the whatever you call it board. I posted one with the earth, and then it had garbage all over the top of it, and it said, no, let's not go back to our old ways again. Because we really shouldn't. We really need to start thinking about things in different ways. And here's another thing that you can do. Everyone really needs to get out and walk to the grocery store and walk to work. And I know that not all of you can, but if you live within 5 miles, you could ride a bicycle to work or to the grocery store. If you live within 1 or 2 miles, you could walk. And when I lived in Montford in Asheville, I really enjoyed walking to the grocery store, because it was only like a couple of blocks away. And when I lived about 2 miles away, I would ride my bike oftentimes. And you don't have to always ride your bike or always walk. If you really are tired, and you may be because you're changing your diet and stuff, then just drive your car. But you can start doing it part of the time, and it's really important to find side streets. Don't ride on main streets where there's a lot of traffic. Ride on side streets and walk on side streets. Stay away, like at least 100 feet away from the noise and the smog of cars. It's just one of the things in our world today that it's beneficial, but it's also detrimental. Everything has benefits and detriments, and cars are extreme things because they kill a lot of people. Somebody told me the other day, or maybe it was just today, that right now, for different reasons, less people are dying overall than a couple of months ago. Think about that. And I said to them, well, one of the reasons is because a lot less people are driving. And driving cars is one of the most dangerous things in our world. And so if a lot less people are getting in auto accidents and dying, then that's, definitely one of the reasons. But so there's always pros and cons, but I see, so for me, being into health and healing, I see so many pros for the coronavirus, and that can rub some people that are getting the axe of the cons a lot. They might not appreciate that, and they might unsubscribe to me. Maybe their grandmother just died of the coronavirus, and she was probably going to die within the next few years anyway, but that happened anyway, and they don't want to hear anything about like the pros of the coronavirus, and that's understandable. But at the same time, I'm realistic about my grandparents. And the truth of the matter is that they owned a grocery store, and they could eat all the goodies that they wanted, and so they did. And they had ice cream every night. And I know that because when I was there, I got to eat ice cream every night, and it was really yummy. But you don't see me doing that now because I know better. And there's just a whole lot of things that I wish I could do and enjoy, like go to a baseball game, for instance. Go to a professional baseball game. And if I went to a professional baseball game, I probably wouldn't really like it that much because of the energy of the people that I would be surrounded by. And things can change though. You can see, like I learned when I lived in Asheville, and I'm kind of all over the place tonight, but I learned when I lived in Asheville, because it's such a weird town, that you can have any combination of people, of person there. And a lot of people go there for that reason, because they like the circus, the crazy circus, atmosphere of Asheville, North Carolina. And there's actually a nun that rides around on a crazy bicycle that's about 10 feet high. This guy, you'll see him. You see this nun is wearing this Catholic nun costume, and he's got a beard, and he's riding this bicycle, this great big tall bicycle around Asheville. And that's really how Asheville kind of is. It's kind of lost its coolness and eclecticness because of the gentrification and money that's come into the town. It's lost a lot of that, which is really sad. But it still has some, and I learned from living there, and I learned from just like in general that there can be crazy combinations of people. And one of the things that I've been thinking about, like you've seen some famous musicians die lately of the coronavirus. I wasn't a big follower of those particular musicians, and so I can't even remember their names. But somebody might write it down there. One of the famous musicians that died from the coronavirus recently. But Musicians are people that are some of the worst health people because a lot of them got into drugs and alcohol and smoked cigarettes and they stayed up late all night, etc., etc. But imagine really healthy musicians. Imagine musicians that were really into health and healing. It's possible. You can have any kind of combination of people, and people you never thought would be into healthy things and spirituality can totally get into that. And so don't get too. It's good not to get too judgmental about things and people. So don't buy Grammarly. We're changing subjects here. Last year I bought Grammarly because I thought that would help with my YouTube rankings and my website rankings, etc. And for me, Grammarly was really not much of a help and more of a hindrance and an annoyance. Because for me, I like to write the way I like to write. And I don't like anyone nitpicking at me about the way that I like to write. And I like to write artistically, and I like to use funny words and different words. And I did learn a few things from Grammarly, but I didn't find it valuable enough to pay $140 or something, and I won't be doing that again this year. So if you see the Grammarly commercials, definitely don't buy it. Also, have you seen those commercials where that guy puts that thing in his mouth that looks kind of like this? This is a farting tool that I bought for like $10. And you wet it and you make fart noises with it. That's not very good. You have to really practice to get good at it. But there's another thing that's kind of similar to this that you see, where this guy is talking about how his face looks so much healthier, and they do a before and an after look of his face after having used this thing that he puts in his mouth like this. And he does that exercise, and supposedly, when you squeeze it, he says it takes 40 pounds of pressure to do that. But your jaw muscles have plenty of power to be able to do that. And when you do that, quote unquote, it gets a lot more blood to your head. And when you get a lot more blood to your head, it creates a lot of healing. Okay, so I'm going to debunk that right now so that you don't end up buying one of those. Okay, first of all, most people have horribly tight jaw muscles because they grind their teeth at night. And if you feel your jaw muscles here, you'll probably feel that they are tight and maybe even knotted. And that's from people grinding their teeth at night or clenching. Okay, so the last thing that you want to do is some exercise where you're squeezing something in and out. That's not what you want to do. If you want to create more blood flow to your head, watch some of my facial massage and head massage videos. Look, do this. There's lots of ways to create blood flow to your head. Do all this. You want to get rid of the wrinkles? Go like this. But believe me, your face, it represents your whole body and how healthy you are. Just like your hands and your feet and even your ears to a degree. And thanks again, Jason, for the nice donation. And anybody that finds these videos, live videos, valuable can certainly do the same. and buy my products at brettsnaturalhealth.com and check out the t-shirt video. But yeah, you can create blood flow to your face by skin brushing your face with a Bernard Jensen skin facial brush. Don't use the regular skin brush, use the facial brush. Or going like this, just this rubbing. See this rubbing? That creates blood flow to your head. See this tapping, rubbing and tapping and massaging your ears? But don't put rubber things. That's another thing. Don't put freaking rubber things. You know those things, those teeth things that you put in your mouth that they say to prevent clenching so that you won't grind your teeth? I don't recommend those either. They're really obnoxious and they taste like rubber. Don't put rubber things. Don't put silicone breast implants. Don't put anything in your body unless it's maybe some kind of a, like you damaged your back and you really need some kind of a rod or a screw in there. You did something that you need an operation. That might be acceptable. But don't like intentionally do shit to yourself like that. You gotta start thinking in terms of natural health. Okay, so always ask yourself, I've told you this 1,000 times, is it natural? Is it natural, or is it like some phony baloney BS? Because a whole lot of people out there are a lot of people out there that want to sell you some gunk. Now, on that note, I will admit something. The t-shirts that I'm selling that I designed this morning on Teespring, they're not organic. Now, they had some eco-conscious t-shirts, and this is going to give you another little, this is another indication of how stupid people are as far as like designing, like showing things or selling things that are natural. They had these eco-conscious t-shirts, but they were 20% recycled plastic. And who wants to wear something that's plastic? Avoid nylon, avoid poly, whatchamacallit, avoid all of that. Only use cotton, natural wool, natural leather, natural silk, all the different natural fibers, and hemp. But I didn't want to go with that because it was 20% spandex or some crap. And so I just went with the non-organic 100% cotton t-shirts. So sometimes you have to pick and choose, and that's just how it is. You're not always going to get everything perfect. But I've been doing this healing thing for a long time, and I've kind of got a really good idea on what to choose over what, you know. A lot of people out there think that it's best to just go completely vegan. And they do that so that they can join some gang. They're joining this gang of people so that they can call themselves a vegan. I'm vegan. Somebody said that in a comment the other day. I'm going back to vegan. I'm not doing that. I may achieve a higher and higher degree of plant-based diet over a period of time. But I'm far beyond jumping on somebody's bandwagon, any kind of a diet. So you guys should like kind of try and get that into your heads, because there are so many people out there that want you to do their Weight Watchers, or they want you to be a vegan. And you should know that it's easier if you join a gang because they'll accept you. But it's not as easy if you're just kind of like, here's what you can do. You can still go to vegan gatherings and just take a vegan dish. And you don't have to tell everybody that you're totally vegan. In fact, I might even do that in a video. I might go to the Asheville vegan gathering sometime in the near future and take my camera, although I can tell you that most of them won't like that, and they won't like to be in the video. They don't want to be in the video. That's how people are. People are so freaking afraid. They're so wimpy. They're such pussies when it comes to being in videos. And it's oftentimes hard for me to find people that are willing to say they're afraid to be exposed. You know? No, it's blowing in here too much. But it's all right. You know, it's all right. But if you want to, if you've got a few balls, you could go to a gathering like that and say, "Oh no, I'm not totally vegan, but I like to eat a lot of vegan meals, and they'll probably accept you to a degree." I had a friend of mine. I have a friend in the UK, and he was a vegan chef, and he decided to be a vegan chef. And so he attracted those kinds of people into his life, and people that were buying his products. And he got to this point of where he was craving meat, and he wanted to do a consultation with me. And he was so worried. He was so worried about what people would think of him if he started to eat meat. I told him, look, just don't tell them. Don't tell them. Just go back to eating meat, and you don't have to eat it all the time. And he did, and he felt a lot better because, he probably knew that he was becoming deficient like I had done. And and some people were judgmental against him. Some people were judgmental, and they were saying things about him on the internet and stuff, because he had become. See, he had kind of brought this onto himself because he had become this kind of hardcore vegan chef. And so when that didn't work out, then the people that had gravitated towards him, the hardcore ones, didn't like him anymore, and so he probably lost their business. So then he had to kind of swing back to the center. But now he's making all of these dishes with all these different kinds of meat. And I'm like, and he's kind of looking a little bit thicker, in your face because you'll do that. You'll when you eat meat, you retain a lot more. And I'll tell you that if you can get to the point of where you don't have to eat any meat, but you're still getting all your nutrients because that 30-foot long hose of yours is conditioned so well and cleaned out so well and absorbs so well that you're getting all your nutrients and you're knowledgeable well enough to be able to get all your nutrients without having to eat any animal foods, like that's the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate goal. I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just saying that there are people out there that, like, for the most part, people can't just do that. I'm not one of them. And I'm not so stupid to go ahead and label myself and try and become somebody's thing. It's just not in the cards right now. So, hello, John. There is no adapting. This is crap. Nat, Nat, you don't have to watch these videos if you don't want to. So, let's see. Wow, that's all. That's everything. So, unless you guys, if you guys have something else that you want to talk about, like, I could talk about it. I've really enjoyed watching the home musicians. All my favorite musicians, the ones that are still alive, are, doing their songs. I'm sure a lot of you have seen them at home. And it's really interesting, and it's really fun, and it's really cool. Don't you agree? Um, I've been watching, crap, I can't even think of them all. I got to watch Elton John today doing some stuff. And let's see. I've been watching Norah Jones. I'm subscribed to Norah Jones, and she's really good. She doesn't talk very much at all. Some of them are very talkative, and some of them aren't. With Norah, I kind of get the feeling that she's resentful for working for free. Most of them are kind of just like wanting to help everybody to get through the coronavirus and trying to be really nice, you know. And I think it's awesome. Rod Stewart, yeah, I watched Rod Stewart the other day. That was really cool. And Rod lives in a mansion right on the beach in South Florida. And he's got all these extravagant, huge paintings worth God knows how much on the walls, you know, and it looks like the White House in there. It's got like pillars and stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, John Fogerty. John Fogerty's been playing, and Willie Nelson's family has been playing from Hawaii. They're all kind of hanging out at Willie's place in Hawaii. Willie's sons are pretty good musicians, and they're interesting to watch. And who else? Who else? You guys put some more people that you've been watching there. Hi, Christ, Montana. So, anyways, that's about it for tonight, y'all. Thanks so much for watching my videos. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation. I didn't really have a whole lot to say, but I think the coronavirus is settling in, and we're starting to understand the reality of it. And sure, there are some young people that have died from the coronavirus, but for the most part, it's going to be pretty obvious. You're going to see that the corpses that are hauled off on the gurney are old and sick people. Old, sick people, for the most part. And so, I wouldn't be afraid. I wouldn't worry. I would just take whatever precautions, the amount of precaution that you need to take, and pretty soon they're going to be opening the states again, and some of you will get to go back to work, and others will have to look for new jobs, whatever. But just hang in there and be in the moment. Be in the now. And think about the times that have been troublesome in the past and how you got through them, because you'll get through these times. And in 5 years, we'll all look back on this and go, wow, that was crazy. Remember when Donald Trump was president and we thought that was the end of the world because we had this guy that was just constantly trying to manipulate things to go his way and get everything he wanted, blah, 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 blah. And we thought that was horrible. But that wasn't the worst of it. That wasn't the worst of it. Then we had Joe Biden, who is like senile, going against Trump, and it's not likely that Joe can beat him with people knowing that Joe is senile. These are some difficult times, y'all. These are some difficult times. And then the coronavirus came along, and then we were all thrown for another loop. But just hang in there, because it's all going to get better eventually. Then it's going to get worse again, but at least we know kind of now. We're getting an idea of a lot of the truths coming to the surface about the media and about the government, etc. And we're all seeing how they're trying to scare people. And we're all being shown a lot of truths in regards to 5G. And I shared, that's another thing, if you subscribe to me, I shared a really good article from Scientific American talking about how they think that there's no evidence to show that 5G is safe. There's no evidence to show that it is safe. And years ago when they did, the article talks about how years ago when they They did tests on rats, which is totally wrong to do on other animals, but they did tests on rats anyway, where they exposed them to 2, 3, and 4G, and they created acceptable levels. They deemed what the acceptable levels were to be able to expose people to based upon these experiments that they did with rats and exposing them to that microwave radiation type radiation. And they say that in this Scientific American article that those are not significant enough tests to prove that humans are not going to get cancerous problems in their brains, in their necks, etc., from talking on their cell phones. And that 5G is a lot more aggressive, a lot more powerful, and that there's no way that they can determine that 5G or any of the others are safe by those studies that they did a long time ago. And for me, once again, I listen to my body. I listen to my body. I listen to my mind. I realize that there are so many different things that they had deemed as to be safe, like mercury amalgam fillings. You know that they said that those were safe for people. And I know for sure that they're not safe for people. There are still dentists that are putting mercury amalgam fillings in people's mouths. And so I do not trust any of that garbage, and nor do I trust cell phones. And when I do use a cell phone, I buy the minutes for it for a month or whatever, and I use the speakerphone. I do not hold it up to my head. I use the speakerphone. And I seldom do that anyway. So anyways, yeah, click on the bell notification button so that you'll get all the notifications for whenever I post something or make a video. Oh, did Arlo die? Did Arlo Guthrie die of the coronavirus? That's sad. Anyways, oh, no, that's not what you're saying. You're saying that Arlo Guthrie's been playing live on YouTube. That's cool. So, yeah, Arlo did American Pie, right? Man, that would be a long one to sing. Does anybody have any requests? I'll do a song for the final Sunday Night Live. Wow, I can't even find you now. There we go. So does anybody have any requests tonight, or shall I just open the book to a random song? Hi, Growing Kindly. You know that person's on a healing track. Growing Kindly. All kinds of cool names. Let's see, I'll just pick one. They were singing, bye bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. And good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye, singing, this'll be the day that I die. This'll be the day that I die. Let's see, what shall we sing? What shall we sing today? I don't want to sing anything too depressing. Have you noticed at the grocery stores that the music is all lively and happy? It is at my grocery store. And I think it's cool. I was already happy when I got there. How about Moon Dance? I was singing Moon Dance at Jared's house the other day while he was playing, and so I should be able to sing this one pretty good. Did I do this recently, though? I may have done it recently. Oh, yeah, that was Don McLean, wasn't it? They're both kind of similar, Don McLean and Arlo Guthrie. How about No Quarter? I don't think I've ever sang No Quarter. Close the door, put out the light. You know we won't be home tonight. The snow falls hard and don't you know? The winds of Thor are blowing cold, cold. They're wearing steel that's bright and true. They carry news that must get through. They choose a path where no one goes. They hold no quarter. Walking side by side with death. The devil marks their every step. The snow drives back the foot that's slow. The dogs of doom are howling more. They carry nails that must get through to build a dream for me and you. They choose a path where no one goes. They hold no quarter. They ask no quarter. They pain without quarter. They ask no quarter. I don't even know how that one goes. That one has so much instruments, different kinds of instruments in it. So I don't know that that was really a very good song to do by myself with no instruments. Okay, so I'll do She's Got Away, and then that's it for tonight. Okay. She's got a way about her. Don't know what it is, but I know that I can't live without her. She's got a way of pleasing. Don't know what it is, but I know there doesn't have to be a reason anyway. She's got a smile that heals me. Don't know why it is, but I have to laugh when she reveals me. She's got a way of talking. Don't know why it is, but it lifts me up when we are walking anywhere. She comes to me when I'm feeling down, inspires me without a sound. She touches me, and I get turned around. She's got a way of showing how I make her feel, and I find the strength to keep on going. She's got a light around her, and everywhere she goes, a million dreams of love surround her everywhere. She comes to me when I'm feeling down, inspires me without a sound. She touches me, and I get turned around. Oh, she's got a smile that heals me. I don't know why it is, but I have to laugh when she reveals me. She's got a way about her. I don't know what it is, but I know that I can't live without her anyway. Hey. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Have a great week.